Yes. Recording. Okay.
Yes.
Welcome everybody. I'm excited because the first conversation that I had with Jill, I tried this, it didn't work, and people didn't join us in the room. And today I have 2 guests. Yay! So welcome Ray and welcome Lori. It's really great to have you here. I'm never prepared, so I didn't. I just do things spontaneously, and I'm going to talk a bit how I met Arthur. The first time I met you, Arthur, was in a coaching conversation. Ankush gave me your name. He hooked us up together, and the first time we met was in your home through Facebook Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what struck me most during that first conversation was that you were the first person that I ever met who didn't know me from Adam and looked at me and said, "All I have is love for you." And I remember thinking, what is this guy talking about? He doesn't know me. How can he love me? And I had only been exposed to the principles for, at that time, maybe a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. So the principles were mind-boggling, to say the least. I had only had a little insight about thought, and that it is the circumstances that cause me all my anxiety, my emotions, and whatever. But the universe, the principle of mind and this wisdom and love, it was completely foreign to me. So it really touched me. It really helped me, Arthur. You really helped me. And
actually, I think I said, what I feel now is love for you.
Yeah.
Because you had, to put it mildly, a thought storm.
Hello, Helen. Welcome. Yes, I had a really bad thought storm that day, and that's what you said. All I feel right now is love for you, and it was really helpful. So, and then we had then I met him again during an online course, and that's where I got to know you a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. And
then we had other conversations, and then my judgment started to fall gradually, and I just, the rest is history. You know what I think and feel about you, Arthur. So that's my introduction, basically of you. And I remember us clearly talking about how the 3 principles impacted your health, especially your blood pressure. So without further ado, I will give the floor now to you to talk about it, and then I would really love to be open to questions. So the questions our beautiful guests have for us.
Yeah. So you have to excuse me for laying here in my old childhood room, in a rather uncomfortable bed. I had to make the best out of this. So, yeah, my blood pressure. Where to start? Well, I'm a middle leader in a large company. So I remember when I was 18, I started there when I was 18, and the doctor, because they had a doctor at the office, he said to me that because I fainted sometimes, so he checked my blood pressure, and he said that I had low blood pressure, and I was tall, so I had to be careful. That was when I was 18. Now life started happening. So to make it fast forward, in the current position in the company, I had like stress, and I just thought it was work until one day that there was starting to get some health issues, not only high blood pressure, but I had bronchitis, rather chronic, asthma, and some stomach issues. Beyond that, I was healthy. So at the time, I was diagnosed with very high blood pressure, and they monitored over some time. That was about, I think it was a year, half year or a year after I met Ankush for the first time and got introduced to the principles. And he became my coach, and I started getting into the principles a bit more and some of his immersions and coaching and all of that. And at the time I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, I couldn't care less because I hadn't time to think about it because so stressed I was. Now, what happened after that moment is rather extraordinary because my inner wisdom said to me, don't take the medicine that was prescribed for me, that I had to go through for life. And at the same time, I was at the hospital for some stomach issues, and it showed that I had the closing valve or some muscle or something that kept acid coming up, and that had destroyed a lot of things there. So I had to be put on medication for life for that also. And my inner wisdom said, don't take the medication, because I could feel that I started to get better. I didn't know what it was. And I was just busy with life, and life slowed down. Stress went away. And after some time, I could really feel that things was getting better. And when you don't think of things, they are not there. So at one point, I started getting noticed that I've not been had a cold for like 6 months or something. And all the other guys are sick at work for the flu, everything, and I didn't get that. So I started to so I just thought, how long is it since I've been sick? Well, it's been quite a while. Was it in the winter time or? So I forgot about that. So when I was at the office again to have a doctor checkup at work, he put the blood pressure device on me. And it showed 98/58 in the middle of the day at work. Same stairs running up, same stress, same things at work. And he said that there must be something wrong with this device. So we're going to replace it. Okay, fine. And I said to him, I think it's correct, because all my diseases has went away. So I think it's correct. And he replaced it, but the new one, and showed basically the same. So now he said the same words as the doctor said to me when I was 18. Arthur, you have really low blood pressure. It's dangerous. And I said, what are the dangers? Well, when you rise up, you can faint. Well, I know that. So therefore, I don't do that. If I sit down like I do now, I don't jump up. But beside that, there are none, only beneficial things. And when I blowed in this device, to measure lung capacity and some things, the ratings went up. So normally they start high when you're 18 and they decrease when you get older. Mine suddenly get a jump because I have record on this. My bronchitis went away. And I was relieved 1 month ago when I was a little bit sick. I was going, yay, I can't get sick after all. I can have something, and they said it was a very severe flu that was going on here, but I had just had a little bit of headache and didn't feel so well for a couple of days, and then it was back on again. I have a theory, and only a theory. This is not scientifically proven, and maybe I'm totally off. But when I think of it, I couldn't care less if I died today, if I get sick tomorrow. I really couldn't care less. So I have no worries anymore for anything, basically. That's so funny. Like, so I guess that when it has slowed down up here, then the body can take care of itself like it's designed to do. Because I haven't changed any diet. I haven't done nothing else than staying on the path and talking to people, reading some books, heard some audios, living life, deepening my grounding in the principles, living life, living life. So I'm 50 now. I'm healthier and happier. Always been happy, kind of, but now it's another level than ever before. I was in the woods today, going on ski. I have an endurance like it's scary. My resting pulse is in the morning 38, 39, 38, 39. Midst of day 45. I don't know.
So you have a comment here from Lori, and she says, beautiful, Arthur. Love what you are saying. I have a question for the benefit of the people in my group. Well, our group, because I don't like to call this my group. I just started the page, that's all. There are some seasoned 3P practitioners. Okay, you're still there. Helen's frozen. There are some seasoned 3 practitioners. There are some non-seasoned practitioners. I don't know what word to use. And there are some people who are not familiar even with the word 3Ps. And you just said something when I slowed down, you know, because that slowing down seems to have had impact on your blood pressure, on your stress levels, on your health, on your endurance. Can you explain for the benefit of the people who who are not familiar, what you mean by slowing down, Arthur?
It mean by slowing down is that I am in no control of my slowing down. It just happens. And it happens to everybody that starts to look inside. Now, I have spoken, especially last year, to many people, and persons that are also not into the 3 principles that talks about the same thing, to look inside. I see that it's basically the same thing we're talking about. There is something greater than us, somewhere, something, and we are a part of it. And I have a client that I'm coaching in something, and she was not interested in the three principles at all. She just wanted coaching for something else. How could I explain to her that it would benefit her to her goal by deepening her understanding of the principles without even mentioning it? So I gave her a book, and the book was Island of Knowledge. And I said, this is a good book. I have read it. It's really good. Why don't you read it? Okay, will it benefit my this and this goal? And I said, yes. But you don't know how. But just, I'm your coach, so trust me, it will. And later on, we talked, and I said, if I could get everybody in this company that we're working on a gift, I would have them read a 3P book like that. Truth. Because no one cannot be exposed to pure truth without it has some effect. Because it speaks to something deeper. I don't know what's in that book really. Because every time I read it sometimes, it's like a new book. But it slows me down without even thinking of slowing me down.
I love what you're saying, Arthur. And I'd love, when I post this recording, I'd love you to add the name of the book in the post, put a link so that people will have the name of the book and the author. Was to be truthful with you, I've forgotten the name of the book already. I have no questions right now, and I'm wondering if you have any questions for Arthur at this point.
Yeah. Hi, Arthur.
Hello, Morel.
Hi. Call me Mimi. I should have changed my name. Mimi, yes. It's a bit easier. What I was going to ask is, I just want to make sure that I understood what you said, that you had all these, you could say, physical ailments, and the doctors were prescribing you medication, and you heard your wisdom say, don't use any of it. And by basically slowing down, your body healed by itself.
Yes.
Are you somehow saying then that, because I've heard this in another area before, that if you don't have too much thinking about particular stuff, that it's kind of just takes care of itself, right? Because, for example, people can be really anxious about their weight, and they jump from diet to diet, wanting to lose weight, and because they have all this thinking about it and focus so much on their weight, they often don't lose the weight. If they were to just allow their body to digest whatever they're eating and enjoy whatever they're eating, they'd probably be better off. Because speaking for myself, ever since I was a little girl, everybody always used to tell me, you can eat whatever you like, you don't gain weight, you're fine. So I didn't have a lot of thinking about food. I just eat, and my body digests it, and I'm fine. So I just wanted to
I
just
I think you're right. Because a nutrition expert I spoke to said that slowing down in eating, meaning eating slower, because the spit is the first thing that comes, and then so if people eat in a hurry way, you don't get the start that's supposed to happen. And the funny thing is that when I eat now, I always ate fast, always, because I always was supposed to be at another place where I'm not was right now. So when I was home, my mother said to me, "Oh, Arthur, you're always in a hurry," because I never had time. I always should be somewhere else. If I was somewhere else, I should be here. If I was here, I should be there. So naturally, you eat fast. Now, when the thinking slows down and you enjoy every moment, you start to enjoy even not so good food. You appreciate that you actually can eat, that you actually have food. So I just think I know I eat slower, way, way, way slower. So maybe it's as simple as that. I don't know, but
I'd like to add something to that, Mimi. When I was 16, I got what they call the Kissing's disease, which is glandular fever. And after that, I developed IBS, and I've had IBS for the past 30 years. I was about 20, I'm 50 now. And I cannot say that I've healed from IBS. But when I changed my thinking about IBS and the implications of IBS and dying and eventually getting cancer and all the scary thoughts I was having around IBS and believing that I couldn't eat everything, when I dropped those thoughts, when I dropped those beliefs, I noticed that my body started to change. As I said, I think I need to emphasize, my body is not healed from IBS. My thinking about IBS changed, and my body reacts differently now to food. So before, whereas my digestion was like, instead of something smooth, it was grinding, it wasn't pleasant. I woke up several times at night because of stomach aches, and now I do still, but the sensation is different, and my thinking around it has changed 360 degrees. And I've noticed a difference. Before, I thought I was allergic to gluten. I eat gluten. I'm not allergic to it. So I really, really believe that thinking about stuff makes them real. But this is just me. For some people, it might seem like woo-woo.
I've heard, I don't know this, but they say that all hypochondriacs eventually get sick. They think of sickness all the time. Now they're getting sick, they get this or they get that, and they read about sicknesses, and finally they get sick. So what they're thinking is real. And I know a couple of hypochondriacs, and they have been sick. they have gotten what they asked for. It manifests in a kind of way. And now that's just two people. So, but I've heard that I just heard that when you mentioned it. But I think that I can just see for myself that what happens in my body. And another insight I had was about sleeping. Actually, about sleeping was the very first insight I had when I knew what I had a feeling I knew what an insight was. Ankus explained it so beautifully that he was asked in the group and he answered, my take on it is that an insight is a new thought that you haven't thought before. Now, I have had insights all my life, but because insights are the most normal thing. But when you introduce something to the pre, sometimes you can see that, that's an insight. And my first insight was about sleeping. So later on, I have developed this switch that was always there, but I never found it. So I can actually go to bed thinking of a million things and just click that switch. So if I have been in the weekend, slept long, not so long, but a couple of hours more, and life is fabulous, 10 in the evening on Sunday, I think, I'm going up 6 in the morning, 8 hours sleep is really well. I just go to bed, widely awake, 5 minutes I'm sleeping. That was not the case before. So resting, I also think has something to do with it. And a guy asked me, how do you find this switch? And I say, you have it. Everyone has it. I see it like this. I cannot explain how I do it because I don't know myself, only that I do it. But if we see life, what all the thoughts, all that's happening on the screen, like a TV screen. Now, when you look at a TV screen, that looks like reality. But when a person comes into the room, you take your attention away from the TV screen to the person. But sometimes you look at it until you find the switch button, switch it off. I have no trouble sleeping with my TV screen running. I just don't watch it. I watch something else. I don't know what it is, but it's certainly not. It's not my screen of thoughts that it's constantly flowing. So they just fade away in the background, and boom, I'm asleep. So a good night's rest, I think, is crucial. It's also very beneficial that you are awake during the day, because people, especially when I stressed a lot, I sacrificed sleep. I thought I worked shift and I could go from night shift and just sleep a couple of hours and go out in the sunlight. Now that is not good. To have 5, 6, 7 hours of sleep on average. Let's say more like 6. So now I have an average of 8.5. That has made a huge change in my life.
Can I say something? Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. I hope I'm not interrupting too rudely.
No.
Just about what you're saying about sleeping and how important it is. I've read somewhere that if you miss a good night's sleep, it's like you've eaten junk food for about 6 months. That's the effect it actually has on the body. It's, like research they've done. So yeah, sleep is really crucial. Yeah. That's just all I wanted to say.
Yeah, it is. And it took me about 49 years to figure that out. So, yeah. And one of the main things also is that life seems so rich now that Anchorage posted the anniversary that it's been like, I'm guessing now, but 4 years since we met first time. Yeah. But I wrote it felt like 10. And there is a saying that if your life is eventful and calm and rich, a second can feel like a lifetime. But if your life is racing and boring and rushing, a lifetime can seem like a second. And I see great truth in that, because when you are not present, when you are not here where you are, and you are in some imaginary future, even if it's just 10 seconds in the future, of course, when you lay on a deathbed, you will feel like, oh my God, it only feels like a second, because there you are in the moment, dying. That brings you back to the moment, I guess. So, of course it feels like a second, because you have never lived life, you lived in the future. You've never been there. I say at work that the weekends seems like a week or 10 days, versus Monday to Friday for me sometimes looks like 10 minutes. And they say, well, I wish that was true for me, because for me weekends goes very fast. It's just like Monday all the time. Well,
I really like what you're saying right now. For me today was a day when I was looking only at the future. How am I going to cope today? It was unusually busy. We've had gale storm winds, 40 trucks overturned, 3 people died, and
oh my God.
Yes, I'm laughing. It's not funny. I got caught in 2 or 3 traffic jams. I knew I had to cook. I knew I had to come online. I knew I had to, and I just let all the thoughts of the things I needed to do later really kill my buzz. And there are moments when I'm really just going with the flow and doing one thing at a time and really enjoying it. And so when I'm slow, or when I'm really in the moment, it makes that much of a difference. It really, really does. And as far as sleep is concerned, I think that's a takeaway for me, because I have been sleeping less than I ought to. I sleep 6 hours a night, and I think I need to up that. That's really a good takeaway for me. Thanks, Arthur.
You will be way more effective and be present way more.
Yeah.
There is a reason why we have to. My friend told me some years ago, because when I was working shift, I slept. Then I slept sometimes very long, and I just didn't care, because when you are working night shifts, it upsets all your body. It's not good. We are day animals, not night animals. Foxes are night animals. And he said to me, Arthur, you sleep away your life. And as I see it now, the opposite is true. Sleep is the basis for life. Then, even because when we sleep, we don't think so much about our problems. So that's our silent time. That's the nature's way of putting us back into the moment. So we wake up and start racing again, or not. I went to work the other day, and I think I posted this on Facebook. I don't know if I did this. Maybe it's just I'm confused here, but I actually said this on work. I woke up because this was 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago. I woke up and it was this beautiful morning. It was so beautiful weather, and it was absolutely wonderful. And I was smiling, standing, waking up from my bed, going out. And then I looked out the window, and it was dark, and it was raining heavily and blowing. And then I decided to keep the weather that was in my head. I saw that posted somehow on Facebook somewhere, or some ad, and it just struck me, because in that morning, the same thing came to me. We can decide sometimes which weather we want to keep in our heads, and not let the circumstance influence us. Like today, when you asked me, can you come 20 minutes or 30 minutes early so we can test this? And I wrote maybe 20 because I had something to do. And it was still a good time. And then that to do went away. And I left early. Then my car happens to go in the ditch. And I said, right. But because I was pretty clear that life will go on, even if that interview we're having now doesn't happen. So several options came into my head. I could take the tractor and pull up the car. Well, thinking that I always was halfway home. It was like 200 meters to walk. Started the tractor, drove over. Now I'm going to pull the car up. The front lifter was frozen. So I just, what the heck. Takes 10 minutes more to drive down, but I still have good time. Just drove down and enjoyed the beautiful snow and everything. I had 25 reasons why I could stress myself up there. And I say stress myself up because the circumstance doesn't stress you. I am the only one that can stress myself up.
So, ladies and gentlemen, do you have anything to add? Any questions for Arthur? Laurie, if you want, you can chat. I just want to make this a casual conversation between us, talking about health or whatever comes up in the moment, and to make it an organic conversation. Or not. It's up to you guys.
Diane, can I say something?
Of course.
Now you look really relaxed.
Yeah, my thinking dropped completely. Before I was busy with the OBS, and I thought, the hell with it, this is fine. I'll just put it up later. My thinking's gone. I'm just here in the room, and I'm really enjoying it.
Helen is in a noisy place. Is that in your head, Helen, or is it in a literally noisy place?
I've been recording not on speaker view. It's in gallery view, so everybody is seeing you interact with your son. I think it's been lovely to see, and eating your popcorn. Do you have anything to add or anything to ask, Helen?
Hi.
Hello, Helen. Hi.
Hi, Arthur. It's over a year since London.
It is. I'm going back to this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. You never know. I'm just back from Birmingham, though.
Okay.
You know, with the women's immersion?
Yes.
Yeah, it went very well.
Yeah.
Laurie was there.
Ah.
Yeah, I was on a Facebook Live, or was a Zoom call yesterday with Maureen York. Do you know Maureen?
Yes. She was
And
also in London.
Yes. Was she? Oh, she was. Oh, yeah, that's right. Gosh, I forgot she was in London. And she, see, the cooker's beeping now. She was talking about her headaches that went away. And it's just so interesting that now we're talking about you and your health and your blood pressure and things like that, and about sleep. And I mentioned to her that I have a client who has headaches, and it's she believes that the headaches are, headaches, and she's been to see lots of doctors, and they are headaches. She is experiencing pain in her head. But I think what you're saying is very interesting, that about the hypochondriacs and about just thinking about it all the time is actually continuing it. And she's beginning to see a bit of progress. I think they're not happening as frequently. I don't want to keep saying, how's the headaches? How are your headaches? So I don't keep on drawing attention to it, but I hear her mentioning headaches less frequently. But do you know what she does? She has a habit during the calls. She's doing this. She's doing this. She's doing this. She's doing this. And she does it like a lot. Rubbing. And I've drawn her attention to it maybe once. And I said, maybe you're drawing attention to a part of your head, and maybe that's not helping. She said, oh, well, I think it's soothing. And she even gets her water, and she's like putting the water against her head. But I mean, and she's still kind of doing that. And I don't want to keep drawing attention to it, and I keep on referring to the fact that she gets headaches. I was just wondering whether you might have any words of wisdom, Arthur, where to begin with her to sort of, she was worried about getting a job because of her headaches. So she's even kind of looking into the future and seeing a future of headaches. Now I'm gently trying to help her.
So is this a client of yours?
Yes.
And when she's doing this constantly and takes the water, does she have headache on that times?
Not always.
No.
I don't think she always has a headache when she's doing this.
Yes. So that is habits.
Yeah.
And it's a fun thing about habits. I have discovered recently, because habits are the system of ours. Because if we should constantly think of everything we are doing, learning something new, our system puts it in the automatic mode. So that is how habits are formed. So because she probably did this when she had headache, it's just become a habit, regardless if she has headaches or not. So there is a book. I will tell this story because I spoke with Diana about this. I have a client that I mentioned a month or 2 months ago because he asked about some things, and I recommended a book called The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg to him. And after that, he met a girl, and they was going out, and she was really into reading. So they went into this giant bookstore, and she saw that she had a book, and he said it was The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg. Of all the thousands of books, she picked that one. And I said, well, maybe that's wisdom. Maybe you should read it, since I recommended to you. But maybe everything is connected. Now that book, The Power of Habits, it goes really deep into the habit thing, and looking at when you have this 3 principles background, you will see right through it, and get something from that maybe can help her both with this, but also with the headache. I don't know, but
thank you.
Timmy, Timmy.
You're not muted. You're not muted, Helen.
Oh, I'm not muted. Thank you, Arthur. I know.
Yes,
the daughter.
I almost heard that to Norway.
Thank you.
You know. Yeah, I was just thinking about that's fun, because my father, he always called to the United States in Christmas many years ago, and back then the lines was kind of bad. So now he still yells in the phone, and I said, Dad, why don't you put the phone down and just go out the door, and you can talk over to America, because I think that he will hear you. Yeah.
Arthur, do you still do hand massage?
Yes.
Thank you very much for my hand massage in London.
Yeah, it's okay, carry on. Sorry. May I add something?
No, back to you, Diane.
May I ask you a question, Helen? I noticed that you said 3 times that you don't want to draw her attention to the habit. My attention has been drawn to my habits by my coach. She really points me to them, and to me it's a sense of relief. The fact that I know it's a habit means that I can overcome it, means that it can dissolve. Now, I bite my finger, my cuticles really badly. I don't bite my nails, I just bite my cuticles. Sometimes I do it, I don't even notice. So it's not that I want to bite my cuticles, or I just do. So I'm curious, why are you reluctant to point her to it, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I didn't want her to become, obsessive about it. I suppose maybe she already is. But I was watching and observing, and I was hoping that she might, as she deepened in or began to get some idea of of the principles, without going, too much heavy into the principles with her, that I was watching to see would she stop doing it herself as the headaches were less. Now I did draw her attention to it maybe twice, but that was over quite a period of time. She seems to believe that it's soothing. And maybe, I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's soothing her in some way. Maybe it's nothing to do with the headaches. As Arthur says, it's just a habit. It's not such a dreadful thing to be doing. It worries me slightly that all this, focusing on the head might be making the headaches worse. So I may again say it to her. If I notice her doing it on our next call, I might say to her, why is it, I mean, do you rub like this when there's no headache? I just said I thought that maybe it was more likely to encourage the headaches. And I did draw attention to it more than once. Again, I don't want to keep on asking her about her head, asking her about headaches, and focus on other areas of her life. But I'm not saying I won't mention it. I'm not worried about mentioning it to her. I just don't want to make a troublesome situation any worse. But thank you for your input. That's very interesting to me, to Diane, that it helps you to have your habits pointed out. So
sorry, it's really interesting that Diane brought that up, because it's exactly what I'm doing as well. Because I see if my client has habits, they can be changed into, because a habit, a good or bad habit, is only good or bad if you judge it bad.
Yeah.
Now, a bad habit for one person can actually be a good, same habit can be a good habit for another person, but the person judge it. But if she has this thing, when you know it's a habit, you can just say that habit, that's no problem. You can change the habit.
Yeah, yeah. But she's saying if it's not causing any harm, why should I stop doing?
No, that's.
I don't know if it's causing her any harm or not. I have no idea. But I just think that she is saying about how many headaches she has, and then she's doing this, even when she doesn't have a headache. I just think it might be useful to her to stop doing that. So at this stage, maybe I would just suggest to her that, does she realize how much of the time she's doing it when we're talking, and that maybe she should stop. If it's a habit, maybe she could stop doing that, and habits can be changed.
People have blind spots, and some people blink their eye, and some, and most people don't. We call it facts. They have some facts. Most people don't. It's too intimidating to tell them. But as a coach, that's exactly what you're coaching for. It's to tell what other people never will say something about.
Can I say something?
Hello, Chris.
Yes, of course, please do.
As I perceive it, Helen, you're making up a story about that a problem that doesn't exist.
What I find interesting is that you use the word belief. She believes it's soothing, and the belief is a thought in the moment. But are you? Does anything of this resonate with you? I'm not here to advise or counsel you or anything like that. So does this help you, Helen, in any way?
I don't know. I think it's very interesting to hear these different perspectives. And I have approached it with her more than once, and I may do so again. And it's useful to hear what both of you have to say, definitely.
Chris is right. It's a story, but the headache is the real thing, not this thing. That won't hurt her to do that for the rest of her life. The headache is what she wants to get rid of, right? Yeah.
Okay, so It's nearly 3 minutes to 9, and I said that I said it would be an hour. I'm open if Arthur is open, but we can round it up here. I'm open to other questions. That is, if you are open to other questions, Niels, or comments. I'm wondering how Lori is doing. You said that you were coughing really badly. How are you doing, Lori? Is there anything you'd like to add? You can add it in the chat and I can just read it.
I talk for a minute. My energy is coming and going. So I'm listening. I'm enjoying everybody. I noticed the difference between a thought that we have about something like a habit, and we overthink the habit, we overthink it, then it just continues to seem real, even though it's not really real. So, and we don't know what anybody else is really thinking. And they're going like this, I can do this unconsciously and it means nothing. And I can do this sometimes because I'm overthinking creating a headache that's not even there. But I've got a lot from the conversation. And then I enjoyed it. So, blessings to you, Arthur. I love what you had to say. Blessings to you, Diane, for putting this together. And my peeps from my group, I love seeing. And Helen, who is not on camera at the moment, who I had a wonderful time with in England. I love you all.
I love you too, Lori. It's really great. It's really great to have you here. Thank you for your input. So I guess.
Can I just?
Yes, of course, please.
Yeah, I was just thinking that it was just because I once trained EFT. If you know, heard of that, and you have these meridian points. So sometimes people try to get repair themselves energy system by yeah, exactly. So that's how they found out about these points anyway. That was because people would put their hand somewhere if they felt uneasy, and sometimes I guess that's one of the ways of explaining how the body's energy system works. That was just one thing. Another thing, Arthur, what you told about not being afraid of dying. I was in hospital several years ago and had a near-death experience. And I had the same experience that I could die. And I thought, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of my fear of death, it just evaporated. But it doesn't mean that I can't get worried or think, get into too much thinking about other stuff. But there's something that disappeared, it won't come again. I'm actually, in a way, it might sound absurd, but looking forward to, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be one of my life's best and last experiences, I'm sure. Yeah, so just my 5 cents. So
Yeah.
I can recognize that, what you said.
Yeah, and another thing that is that I actually put a gun to my head and pulled the trigger 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And what I see is in that moment, what triggered that was a girl who said, Arthur, I cannot be with you. And I had put all happiness in her, and my world got darker and darker. Now I see it was only my thoughts. And sometimes I get tears from my eyes and cry because I know that I cannot be heartbroken again. I can feel heartbroken, but I know it's coming from me. So when that gun failed, I shot like 10,000 rounds with that gun. Never failed one time. But at that particular time, 5 a.m. in the morning, it failed. And I fell asleep. And waking up with the worst headache because I drank a liter of whiskey, pure red poison. That was when I started this trip. So I see life now because every logical thing would say that that gun would fire, because it has fired every time on shooting and hunting after that point. The only misfire it had was when I put it into my head and pulled the trigger. So that is, life is a gift, because I should be dead back then. And I found life. Yeah.
Arthur, I have gone completely silent, and I don't even know what word to use. Mesmerized, in awe, grateful. I think I feel heaps of gratitude that you're still here with us. And that this last message, I'm assuming that's the last, I don't know how long we're going to stay here for, is, I think, the most impactful one I'm taking with me tonight.
Yeah, wonderful.
And what it stirred in me is calmness, not anxiety. Now, if someone points a gun at their head, pulls the trigger, usually I would have other thoughts about it, but this one is, I'm really calm.
Yeah, but the calmness came a year later. I was calm afterwards because I woke up next morning and new thinking was happening. And I had a purpose to get her back. And that put me on the trip to go on different courses, and that was when I was introduced to Anchorage. So then I realized that actually what would look like a moment, the worst moment of my life, actually was the best. And that can happen any time from now on head on, and probably will. There will be things which I in the moment feel this is the worst thing that happened for me this year. But having that experience, I will think, well, it looks like hell right now, but that moment that was really hell actually turned into, so why cannot this moment also turn into that? Maybe I don't see it now, but maybe it can. It's solving problems when they are there, and not solving the problems that you think of that's not there. You are muted, Diane.
I moved a bit, and I guess it's virtual, but I feel a very deep connection with you, and I suppose with all of us. And I'm treasuring it, so I decided to just shut up.
Yeah.
It's in the feeling, isn't it?
It is.
It's not the words that we use.
Mm-hmm.
It's where we come from. Thank you, Art.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Arthur. I think we can end this on this beautiful note.
Yeah, beautiful time. And thank you, and thank everyone who attended. And
Yeah.
Thanks, Arthur. Thanks, Diane.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you
It was great.
for joining me.
Thank you.
Now this is just an announcement. My next conversation will be sometime middle of next month again, and my guest is Amir Karkuti, and I'm really excited about that too. I will announce it later, and I don't know what the form is going to take, but I like ask anything. To me, that's the best format anyway. Thank you all once again. I love you all, and I'll see you soon.
I will be there on that call. That's for sure.
Love you, Arthur.
Amir is wonderful. Good job.
Okay.
Take care, everybody.
Okay,
You too. Thank you,
Yeah.
Arthur.
Bye.
Thank you, Chris.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Lori, take care. I'm here, okay? Just give me a buzz.
Thank you, darling.
Bye.
Thanks, Lori.
Bye.
Arthur. Love you, Mimi.
Bye.